Why hello there, Nice Tail here. I do hope this video finds you well. Today I'm bringing you a summary of a knife I've already done a full review on, which will be linked down in the description. This is the Azusa Blade Works, and yes, that's an interesting kind of smaller brand name. They have a website, I will link it, and this knife. Azusa Blade Works Cochise. I hate the name. Don't know why, I've always hated the name Cochise. Just bothers the crap out of me. Most people say Cochise, and it's like, yeah, I don't like that. This is a budget knife in 14C28N. I'm almost 100% sure that this is made for Azusa Blade Works by Migaron. And Migaron does a pretty good job on their execution. Like, the G10 here is really nicely executed. It's slick, but it's very well finished. Nice little bit of rounding at the edges. Contouring a little bit. It's got a little flat up there, but it's a sort of contour. Like, the chamfers here, this chamfer is straight, but this one definitely, there's some rounding going on there. It's got a gray PVD finish on this particular variant. There are some different variants. It is on bearings, obviously. It is I guess technically a sheep's foot blade, because Wharncliffe's, I think, start and do a continuous drop all the way. Well, this one definitely has some angles, but you could probably call it a Wharncliffe too. As I said, 14C28N. Got a little bit, I guess you could even call that a little bit of a harpoon kind of. No, not really. I would just say that's a thumb ramp. It is not a particularly large knife. In fact, blade length is 3 1/4. 7 5/8 overall. I'm not going to get into more specs. The full specs and more depth are, of course, in the full review. So, let's talk about this knife, because there's a number of things that we talked about that I do want to mention even in the summary here. Titanium pocket clip, very nice. Steel liners. The steel liners have not only been drilled for the speed holes, but they also have some weight reduction in there. It's not a particularly heavy knife. It's not a particularly large knife. You are losing a little blade edge to, or potential edge to this large finger choil. You can get a full grip on back here, but it's definitely super comfortable up here. This is definitely where this thing was intended to be made. I mean, intended to be held, not made. Titanium pocket clip. I wish the slope was a little bit more inclined, but it is mostly a continuous rise, and it has good flex, and it works, so I'm not complaining too much. It's just, there's enough flat, it's like low enough incline that can be a little bit tricky in and out of the pocket. It's not deep carry. You don't have actually a ton to grab onto. Like, this is, you could argue that this is a little tricky to get in and out of the pocket, but it definitely works at the same time. Liner lock, great lock bar access, 100% good there. The bearings on this thing are surprisingly good. So is the D10. It's got a very interesting sounding D10. It's kind of got like a ceramic clack. It's very nice. A lot of jimping here. It is, of course, a front flipper with not the best kind of jimping, but it is very functional jimping. It goes up far enough. Like, I don't feel the need to try to actuate it up there, but I can. It is grippy. It works. The only thing is, it is a relatively tall front flipper, so you gotta go a bit lower than maybe you might be used to on some. And down here, I've noticed that you can sort of, that was a little bit of a flubbed one, but you can sort of get, at least on this PVD one, enough to reverse flick it out. It's not the most satisfying, and certainly not meant to be done that way, but you can sort of do it. However, the front flipper is super easy to actuate and accommodating, so, like, this is one of the easier front flippers if you're going to look for one that's pure front flipping. It's just high to the pivot and everything like that, and there's tons of leverage. So, everything seems really, really good here. And honestly, it is. It is a little bit ground off center, as you can see. I think it's mostly, the blade itself is mostly center, and there's no play. I think it's just the grind. The grind itself could be maybe a hollow grind, but an extremely shallow one, at least on this knife, to the point where I'm not 100% convinced it is a hollow grind. It also does not have a particularly tall grind. And I'm starting to dance around the issues. It is pretty thick. Like, the actual edge that it comes down to is fine, but it definitely gets thick fast. It gets thick very fast because of how low this grind is. Which is not ideal. I mean, you can kind of see how fast it gets thick. It goes from relatively thin to whoop, pretty substantial pretty quickly. But as a utility sort of Wharncliffe kind of thing, you're going to be doing a lot with the tip, and yeah, sure, that works. It definitely does its job. However, that also compounds with the secondary problem, and that is the stop pin placement. Ooh, that is right behind the edge. In fact, I cut in this joil. In case you hadn't noticed, I got a little bit crazy with the Dremel there, or I should say, I missed. But I cut in this joil here, and wow, was I pushing it. I didn't even realize how far I was pushing it until I did it, and I realized that the actual stop pin hits right about here. So I got about as close as actually possible without completely screwing the entire thing up. Like, I mean, the stop pin basically hits right here in the closed position. So yeah, I got very near completely messing this knife up, which would have screwed up and caused issues with it in the closed position and basically ruined the knife, arguably. I mean, I don't necessarily think knives that some people, I guess, could be okay with it over closing a little bit. You start running into the risk of it hitting, though this one has a lot of space in between the blade and the handle. However, my concern is that it starts over closing a little bit and it doesn't seat consistently into the detent, which all it takes is one time, but if it's moving around beyond and outside the detent and it's not being held in perfectly, there is the chance that it, can jump and then come out. That's one of the reasons we like to see the stop pin placed further back, so you can not only cut in your plunge grind, which was terrible, by the way. The plunge grind on this thing was not good, and needing the sharpening joil. But I got about as close as possible. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me, but this is what this knife would look like with a proper sharpening joil, or at least the start of one. Like, of course, as I sharpen, I'm going to have to make it bigger, but I cannot go back that way at all. So it's probably expand out this way just a tiny bit and then go deeper. But, yeah. And honestly, like this, I thought it was not going to look good with the sharpening joil, but it doesn't really bother me. Like, it doesn't really take away from the look of the knife or anything like that. I just wish that was better. It isn't. That's really the only major issue with the knife. Otherwise, it's, Megaron's pretty good execution quality and 14C28N and very good budget stuff. There is a deal going on right now where you can get one of these, I believe, free if you do pre-order for their newest knife that's coming out. That may have ended. I don't know. I didn't look. It was still going on when I did the review. But this is a summary and does not... And that's a dog, by the way. Does not get the same kind of investigation that the reviews get from me. At least some sort of investigation. So, Azusa Blade Works Cochise. Lots of good. Could use a few tweaks. But it's a cool knife. It's a nice knife. You can get full forefinger grips. It's comfortable. It'll do what it needs to do. I just wish it was a little bit thinner, and the plunge grind was better, and that stop pin wasn't there. All kind of issues around the same area. Other than that, though, it's good. It works. Yeah. And very good bearings. Very good bearings. Or at least action. So, I'm going to end things here. Say thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. This is, a summary, just a quick look. And it's over. So, see you later.